students where they need to be. And I know that that's why we're all here, right? Is getting our students prepared for the next grade and making sure that they have learned everything that they need to be successful when they leave our classrooms. We're going to be using a new protocol in PLCs. We won't be doing it during every PLC, but often. It's called DDI, or Data Driven Instruction. And this is something that is new to me as a teacher leader. It's something that I've learned and practiced in my class over the summer. And so I'll be learning it right along with you. And I know that it's probably new to most of us doing DDI and PLCs. So it can be kind of scary. You know, data's kind of scary. And leading meetings is really scary. So just please give me lots of grace. And you know, we'll do the same for you as we kind of learn this protocol together. But we wanted to introduce you to it today so that it doesn't seem so foreign and so intimidating. So data-driven instruction is all about improving the way that we teach through observation, which we're already doing as Montessorians, and collaboration as a team, and planning for the instruction that comes after the data collection. So Ms. Davis is going to talk about this part.
So why DDI? And we have done forms of this in the past. We're always being reflective about data, whether it's through COI or our monthly collections that we use to then drive their work plans. But it's just going to look a little different and may sound a little different and be formulated a little different. But we've been doing data. It's just going to be a little bit different. Okay? So why DDI? It's research-based. DDI is widely recognized as the best practice in education because it allows teachers to make informed decisions that directly impact student learning. Okay? It also involves or has enhanced collaboration. It encourages collaboration between teams and teachers as they work to understand the data, share best practices, and align instruction. And also it'll give an opportunity to learn from each other as well. Intervention and identification. So identifying the gaps in learning and addressing them regularly to ensure that struggling students get support in a timely and consistent manner. So like in the past, we've done some form of DDI, DDI-ish, when we do BOI, MOI, and then we take that data, and that's where we kind of go with Gwen and do the groups and all that. But this is on a much more frequent basis so that there are less gaps. The learning can be addressed immediately, even within like a week or so, to turn around and really enhance the student learning. Okay, it's going to increase teacher effectiveness. Teachers gain insight into standards, student learning, and instructional strategies, and are able to plan and deliver instruction more efficiently. And then last, it's evidence-based decision making. It empowers teachers to make instructional decisions on the evidence rather than relying on intuition, generalizations, what we think might be the cause. We're going to have evidence-based decision making to then make the best plan for our students.
Okay, so now let's talk about the DDI protocol. And when I say protocol, I mean the steps that we are going to follow every time we do a DDI meeting. And it is scripted, and there's a reason for that. It's kind of like sometimes when we do action coaching, we use the script, right? And we tell you guys ahead of time, like, hey, this might seem a little bit awkward at first, but there is a reason for the script. There's a reason for the DEI script, and it's so that the facilitators, like me and Miss Davis, or admin, or or Miss McDaniel, whoever's leading the meeting, can take kind of the mental load of thinking about what to say off, so that we can focus on the data and what's actually happening in the meeting. So we're following these steps, the protocol of the DDI meeting, every time we have the meeting, and it also makes it more comfortable for you guys because you know what's going to happen. When we're having a DDI meeting, we're going to go through these steps every single time. So it might seem, like I said, a little bit awkward at first because we're following a script. But it just makes it easier for us to really focus on what's important in the meeting, which is data and students. Okay, so the first step, and I'm going to go through these with you guys just to kind of start to familiarize you with what a DDI meeting is going to look like, but once we actually have a meeting, you'll see how this plays out, okay? So the first step is to see past successes. So we're gonna talk about reteaches that we've done in the past and what the reassessment is showing about student learning and how those gaps are being closed. We're gonna see the exemplar, and we're gonna do that by creating a know and show chart to really unpack the TEKS, the focus standard that we're talking about that day. And I know a lot of us have used know and show charts in the past, but it's usually in isolation. Like, you have to make your know and show chart that aligns to your lesson plans. And sometimes, that may or may not actually impact your instruction and your planning. But the way that we unpack the standards in a DDI meeting is much more meaningful because we're all collaborating to unpack it. We're making sure that we have a common understanding of what the standard is saying. And then we're gonna examine student exemplars that you will bring, and we'll talk about that later, and as well as teacher exemplars that you created, and then use that to build our know and show, so that we really, really have a deep understanding of what the standard is addressing and what we're looking for in student work. Next, we'll look at student work of students that have not mastered. So we're bringing student work samples to these meetings, and we're sorting them into piles of students who have mastered, students who have not, and we're looking at work samples, not all of the student work, to see where's the gap? The kids who did not master this standard, what are they missing? And we're working together as a team to identify common themes. What are these kids missing? And what is gonna be the highest leverage understanding that we can build for these kids that will get them where they need to be? And then step 4 is to plan the reteach. So we're gonna determine what the reteach will look like, and there are different models that we'll talk about when we get into the meetings. And then we will actually write our scripts for reteach. So we're gonna talk about exactly what words to use to reteach to these kids who have not gotten it yet. We'll work together to write our scripts, we'll compare scripts, we'll add to our own scripts to really make them as strong as possible. And then we'll assign teachers to groups, we'll practice with our scripts. It might seem kind of unnatural and awkward at first, but it's just something that we have to do so that when we get in front of those students who don't have the understanding that we want them to have, it comes very easily and naturally, and we're not having to think about how do I say this so that they get it. And then the final step,
And I think too, it's planned in a way that it's going to target exactly what they need.
exactly the gap. Yep, exactly. And then the final step is we'll take our students who have not yet mastered the standard, we'll divide them into groups for reteach. You will be working with a partner teacher, and we'll talk more about this in detail later, but you'll be working with a partner teacher to do the reteach. So if Ms. Krunk is my partner teacher, we'll look at both of our classes' data and say wow, Ms. Krunk, you really blew this out of the water, almost all of your kids mastered this standard, you're gonna be the person who does the reteach group. But then I'm gonna go in and observe her doing the reteach lesson so that I can learn how I can teach it better next time. Okay? So, we'll talk
Not only next time, but to support the students when they get back into the
as
classroom.
they continue practicing that stuff. After the DDI meeting, the reteach groups will happen, there will be reassessment, and then that whole cycle starts again the next time we have a DDI meeting when we look back at success from that reteach. Okay?
How will DDI improve our practice? It will allow for a deeper understanding of the standard. So as we work together and collaborate to unpack the focus standard, we're going to gain more knowledge and understanding of the success criteria, as well as align our expectations with one another on our team, but also with the standard and what it's saying and what exactly they're supposed to be able to produce. It's going to help because it will plan the practice. It's a planned practice reteach. So together as a team, we're going to work together to plan for the reteach. Okay, it's going to be clear, like we talked about, scripted practice. So we may do some role playing in here to kind of maybe try to see those gaps before we get in front of the kids, and then we'll also collaborate together and offer feedback. Again, if someone is really strong in that area, we may want to know what they're doing, and they can kind of lead that section on how the reteach and the script is going to look.
I think this is so important to plan and practice reteach, because as teachers, I know in my career, it's always oh yeah, you need to go back and reteach. to reteach. So then you either end up teaching it the same way again, which is clearly not effective for that group of kids, or you're just kind of like scrambling to make something up that
Where it's not happening.
like creative where it just doesn't happen. So yeah.
It also gives a clear picture of student learning. Analyzing the student work plan, work samples as a high, medium, and low, with high, medium, and low levels, will give us a clear picture of what students actually know and are able to do. So it's very non-subjective, right? You're seeing exactly what they can know, what they can do. And you're able to take that and to turn it around to plan your reteach. And then a collaborative reteach. Using teaching teams, we will ensure that students in the reteach groups receive the most effective instruction possible. Partner teachers may also observe the reteach to strengthen their own practice, just like you saw. I mean, like that saying, iron sharpens iron. If you are able to watch someone that's doing really well at that skill, then you are going to improve your craft. You're going to get better. It's constant reflection and just kind of figuring out how you can improve what you're doing. Because we want the students to improve their process through this protocol, but also as teachers, we want to improve as well.
Okay, so this is your contribution. This is what is going to be expected of us as teachers. First, we're going to be collecting data, and in just a minute, we're going to go over the primary assessment calendar that is broken up month by month that I've created for you to kind of guide your collection of data. I really hope that's helpful. We'll look at it in just a second. Next, you will work with the team to develop common formative assessments in the area of math specifically, because we don't have that built into the assessment calendar. So we'll talk about that more in just a second, but we will use our PLC time to create those CFAs. You will participate in DDI. So in our Wednesday data meetings, like I said, that won't be every Wednesday, but when we have DDI meetings, you'll help us unpack the standard, analyze student work samples, develop a plan for reteach, and then you will reteach. So you'll work with your partner teacher to reteach according to the plan. So that reteach will start the day after our DDI meeting, and it will go probably until the next DDI meeting, or until the CFA happens when we reassess. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Yes.
I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to CFAs, are we also going to be using the district
Yes.
stuff as well?
So if there is an assessment already built in, we won't create it. But yes, but the CFAs will be like if we're kind of lacking.
Like we need to fill a gap.
Exactly. Thank you for asking. Great question. Okay, so I will share this with you in just a minute so that you have access to this. But this, I can make this good. This is our primary assessment. Oh my golly. Primary assessment calendar. How do I make this fit?
The Zoom button, the 100%, is that what you need to make here? Yeah.
Sure.
By the pink.
Thank
By the
you.
pink.
No.
By the paintbrush,
By the paint roller.
under format,
Okay,
there's
okay.
100%, you're gonna click on that and you'll go
Oh,
up.
click
Yeah.
on 100%. Okay.
Yeah, and then the down arrow, and then it would just make it bigger, like 200.
Oh, okay.
way
So I
too
can't like
big.
make it like a presentation.
No,
Okay.
not on a word.
It's just.
Oh,
It's a dog.
alright, okay, cool, thank you guys for helping me do that. Okay, so this is a month-by-month assessment calendar just for primary. So I've taken anything in red is a district assessment. So I've taken all the district assessments and put them in here so that you got, and these dates are in order, so you can look at it and see. These are the dates that I need to be testing. We'll be testing high frequency words, using the 25, 50, and 100 word high frequency word list. If it's not in red, that's just for our campus. And that's what we're going to be using in part for our DDI meetings. Letter names and sounds, that will go on our virtual data wall and into Edgeforia. Writing samples. We will be collecting writing samples from our kinders once a month and bringing them to PLC. Actually, you'll be turning them into the PLC room ahead of time. So I'll let you know like when that is due, because they need to be turned in ahead of time, because then Allison and I are going to be looking at those, sorting them into groups, and then using them as work samples in the next DDI meeting. BAS will be testing starting in September. HMH module inventories that we're required to do per the district, so those are on this calendar too. And then CLI Textia window opens up September 15th. So you'll see as you look through this, like there are some things that occur every month. Letter names and sounds. As a team, we've decided that it's very important to test letter names and sounds once a month. And that'll be put into our virtual data wall. We'll have math CFAs or we want an assessment safety set. High frequency words, those will be tested every month. BAS will be 4 times a year. Writing samples will be collected once a month. Okay?
Quick
Yes,
question
ma'am.
on the Textia.
Yes.
Is there a date set for training for those who have not trained on that yet?
Yes.
So everyone will be trained, every DOI and EOI. I think you're referring to the CLI,
Oh, that form.
like
whatever.
online training, yeah. So the ones for EOI are already open and registered for you. So if you wanna
So you
register
can
for
sign
those,
up for
that's
those.
in like, not next week, but the next week, I think. Yeah, cause I go Monday, so double check on that, but it's an entry for you to register. But then what you're talking about, is gonna be in CLI. You have to do like an online training before you can actually do the assessment with you both of you. I don't know if you have to redo it.
I think it's like once a
I
lifetime.
think so.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah,
believe so.
I think so. You did yours already last year, Donaldson, right? Okay, so we can help you figure out how to sign up for that. If I play around a little bit, I can probably find it. If not, we'll ask Chris and everybody.
But it's just like you log in and you do it on your own time.
Yeah.
You can do it whenever.
But it has to be done before we start. I think even before they go to training, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
I believe so, yes. So, looking at this, I know that this might seem like a lot of data to be collecting, but we have to have our students' data so that we can drive our instruction. If we are just testing BOY, MOY, EOY, that time between the tests is way too, you're missing so much, you know? If we don't know where our students are for 3 months, we can't grow them. A lot of these take not much time at all. And like the writing samples, that should be happening in your instruction anyway. But all you're doing now is collecting them and turning them in. Okay? So it looks like a lot more than we have done in the past. I mean it is more, but it's not that much more. Okay? And I promise it'll be worth it because it's gonna drive our instruction in the right direction, in very specific directions for individual kids.
It sounds purposeful, which is
Yes.
like, okay.
Thank you, Miss Crunk. And you guys
I'm
know
the
me,
tone
I think.
keeper, I just wanna
Yes,
remind you
thank
that.
you. Yay,
Was
you
that what
did
you were
such a
doing?
great
Keeping the
job.
tone.
Just keeping the
You
tone.
did such a great job.
But I mean, sometimes it feels like we're just collecting data and then it's literally just like being filed away and we're not doing anything
Right.
with it.
And I think you guys know us well enough to know that we're not gonna give you busy work. If it's not purposeful, if it's not going to improve instruction and improve student learning, we're not gonna have you do it. Cause we are just as busy as you are. We don't want extra work either. Promise, okay? Does anybody have any other questions about the assessment calendar?
You'll share that with us.
I will share that
I
with
did.
you. Oh, you did? Oh, thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much. So I hope
Are
that's
all-
helpful to have it all in one place.
Will you also share, you might have already shared this, the high frequency word list? I know that's
Yes,
like, okay, that would be great. Okay.
So there's the first 25 sight words, and there's the 50 list, and what goes on 100. But there's also the HMH, high frequency word list. That's a different list. That's the list that will be tested in the module. Like our class, when we do our kinder time collaboratively, we practice the high frequency words from HMH, and then we do the 25.
Irregular words, I think.
Excuse me, irregular
Yeah.
words, yeah. We do the 25 sight words and the 50 from F and P. Okay?
But I think the total number of words for HMH, the irregular words, is like 25 for the year.
I
So-
put those in order as well according to each of the things, so I'll share that with y'all. If I don't need it, I'll share it again. So you can put those words on your word wall,
Send them home.
send them home, like
Nice.
whatever you need to do with those, but.
Very nice.
Because we thought about like, oh, maybe that's enough, but like truly, if kindergartners are leaving us only knowing 25 irregular words, that's not enough. So we need more instruction and more data.
Since we already-
Can I find them in Spanish?
Why are we gonna go to Spanish? Because there's no Spanish in Spanish.
Okay, then you're not gonna do that. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
going to be a DDI meeting or not. Okay?
Okay, so for T-tests, I know we talked about it briefly last